Pushing into the 840 turn here in Neerwinden. Other than the struggles with the games, what's happening? Well, it's kind of hard to remember most of what happened. I think most of it was nothing. But right at the end of the last turn, we had a couple of interesting breaks in the line, which may cause some intriguing facets. So we had the Danes disappear here. Against Cadro's infantry. Now, Asphalt is okay. See, this line means that Asphalt can be behind this unit. There's not more of Cadro here. But I had cheated and I think entered this hex across my boundary. I could have made the attack anyway. Used flanking force here. The unit that went in here died. It was a horrible attack. Probably didn't want to make it, but I felt like I was forced to by the charge rules, and then realized, wait a minute, I cheated. I wasn't allowed to. The hell with it. I really think that and I went into this in some detail towards the end of the last video, I really think that the sector or wing divisions don't really work, and I've said that at other times as well. We also had Balial, who was up here, make a charge, and again, I fucked up. In this case, it had to do with the presentation over here, linking it to this. It's a hard thing to keep track of. I actually did them out of turn order, in the sense that I was already in the turn cleanup when I encountered that. They smashed into Von Hayden. They wouldn't have had to, right? I could have just said, "Oops, I didn't notice them. Too bad." But I want to try to do the things that I would do if I could see the entire board fully and through the representation, because it's tricky to do. It is really tricky to do to assess what's the hell's going on in this game. And their remnants are running here. So we had a big unit break on each side. Well, the Danes aren't a big unit, but they were in an important position, and I've got the Spaniards coming up there. Balial was not a huge unit, but again, it's a big part of the line, and I had to move another brigade up into place to take care of that. I don't think I'm going to start this turn yet. So I'll put my dice over here, because I don't know. I don't know. It's just it's painful to play this. It really is. I like the game. I like the concepts behind the game, but it feels like. Oh, and one of the things that I commented on, somebody did respond with that, about, counter mess-ups. Look, there are a couple, and that's it, okay? The commander one, I think there's like there's at least 4 counters that are fucked up. There may be more than that. It's not a humongous thing, but it's also kind of inexcusable, to tell you the truth. With the amount of money that goes into these games and whatnot, and the fact that they no longer will be replaced for free, that. I would, look, back when games were, I don't know, an eighth the price, cost of printing has gone up a huge amount, but proportional to what you're spending on it compared to like food and other things, the games have gotten to be quite a high price, and some of that is going, should be going into a quality control level on it. especially if the cost of printing is so high. Things shouldn't go to the printer until they're right, and apparently with this one, a lot of things didn't get right before it went to the printer for whatever reasons. Well, as my emotional and mental well-being continues to deteriorate, here we are, Tuesday morning. Gotta be, I don't know. It's past 2. It's gotta be around 3 a.m. Fired off some artillery to begin things. I spent way too much time playing Raid. Let's just put it that way. Some of that artillery fire was effective. Now, that's kind of useful because, like, I can break up a firefight here. Other places, I mean, like the ones here in the town, they're almost unimportant because everything's locked down there pretty much. I mean, the Allies could fight back, but they kind of don't want to. Assuming somebody's in charge, one of the French units. And now we go to, the wing commitments and whatnot. And I caught myself cheating again. In this case, I had moved the Cadreau up, and the asphalt is still up there. What I'm going to do to fix this, I don't know. There's just nothing I can do. I can shift both of these back, I guess. Because this can't be up there. And I don't know what the fuck I did. I mean, I do know what I did. I committed this Cadreau infantry that was up here, maybe thinking there was 3 in the line being allowed. I don't think the leader was important. But while Nassau was up there, while asphalt was there, I didn't do a swap in line. None of this would have been legal. I was really blocked off by what could happen. So I think what I'm going to try to do in this case is do a replace in place of Kalis with asphalt. Up until then, everything was going great. French opened up over here because they're penalized for having a better leader and did not get a commitment. Here there's 3 allowed in each line. Here there's only 2. It's a smaller sector, but it looks like there's plenty of room. Again, 3 small brigades should be allowed to be up there, whereas there's not enough room for, much more than 2 big infantry brigades up in the big plains section, because I have a couple of really big brigades committed there. And they have to be, actually. They don't have to be in the front, but whatever. But yeah, I failed here. Brits went over here, got a commitment. Then I went over here, and I think I tried to transfer a brigade over into the support line here. Would have been kind of complicated. Like, conceivably, I could have tried to do a move and transfer, but I think that would just fail if they didn't make it into the support line completely. So I'm trying to transfer this, even though the odds are piss poor. I don't know. Actually, yeah. They can only do it if they went diagonally, which requires 2 successful rolls. I don't know what happens if they fail one of those 2 rolls. I think they just stay where they are, because that would be the net effect. But I wanted to get over here, and I successfully committed those Spanish infantry to try to deal with the Cadreau situation. They've been cheating all game, man, Cadreau. That brigade has been fucking everything up. And then on the French side, I ran into this mess. And what the hell did I decide to do? I decided I want to do a transfer, or a passage of lines, right? No, relief in place, which has a base of 1, and I don't think there's any modifiers other than leadership. So, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Nope. But that's okay. just to point out, the reason these guys had to fall back as well is they're lined up directly behind them. Like, these had been front, these had been support. Well, or no, I think these maybe were reserve. I don't know, because maybe I cleared out the support line and they moved up. But whatever, they're not able to be in the same line when they're like that. So I just trying to fiddle around and fix things as I make errors. And this is a matter of two things. This is a matter of a very new idea. This, like, hey, indicating where things have to be on the map on this chart. But, and how difficult that is to kind of grasp, like not intellectually or whatever, but deep down where it counts when you're trying to actually implement the rules. It's hard. So yeah. Other attempts, relief in place type attempts that are really unlikely. I moved Luxembourg over to the far left flank. I feel like having an additional commander there would be useful, because I really want to bring this Thiange up into play, and they didn't get in there. I should have done that before and rolled there. Instead, I used his command points here to try to do a relief in place for Surbeck, probably with the Abergeti infantry, I guess. I actually tried to do it with the Rottenburg, which is cavalry. See, there's two things. One, I don't see too much differentiation. Like, I scan over here and I'm expecting infantry. I don't know why. Just, it's what I expect. I don't expect huge quantities of cavalry to be like sitting here, and these are PLs, so they had to start here. Sitting here waiting to assault a fortified location. But then there's also the symbology on these. Yeah, sure, it's simple NATO symbology, but from a distance, it just looks like a white box on each. The boxes are rather long and thin, and the X's and slashes are not very distinguished. Again, my eyesight could be better, right? But I think more of it has to do with my brain just not quickly assimilating what both of the symbol systems used, right? The NATO symbol system used here it doesn't jump out as much as I would like. And then these, I really don't see any difference. I mean, I have to zoom in, and then, when I see that, oh, there's some infantry here, but my thought is this is all infantry, right? Just because of expectations or something. All right, that should be the end of the command phase. No, I got one more. I don't know what the hell he's up to. I don't think he wants to do a damn thing. I'm not committing my generals to their brigades. That was too dangerous. Like, one combat and you got a 1 in 10, well, multiple combats and you have multiple 1 in 10 chances that you're like, guy gets killed or artillery hits him or whatever. And it's just, ouch. It's too damn dangerous. He's running all over the place trying to get himself shot. It's not safe. And that means, hey, let's use the phase thing. We'll go up to brigade activation there. I really should, so I'll try. Since all the French units are the only ones, since the French are the only ones charging with any of their units still, I said, let's go to the butt heads over here, the Cadreau Brigade. I'm not happy with their situation. First of all, most of them, they're rather damaged. They've already lost a unit, so their morale is a little lower. And they're, facing guys in a town. Now, if you were playing a different non-linear warfare type game, what would you do? You'd probably swing around and try to scare these cav off and try to exploit this hole. But you can't do that here, right? So here, I actually have an opportunity perhaps to exploit this. Because this guy is not in range. So yeah, no, I have a few choices. So the fact that I can't cross this line means I can put this guy up here and can try to do something there, I think. This is where it starts getting complicated, right? So now I look for these pictures because they will help. And this is 2 hexes would be, yeah, I'm not allowed to charge this. Cav or no. Which means this guy has to go ahead. This guy has a priority here. I don't know. I might be able to move this guy first and push him into place. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to fucking dress ranks because I don't want, like, I just don't want to fight this. Even though I've created a hole, I can't really exploit it. And that, I think, is appropriate to the linear combat in a way that, like, these divisions aren't necessary. And I am successful. So I'm able to drop out of charge and into dress ranks. Now, even though I was, only activated because I was charging, now I drop into the dress ranks orders and can't do the same things, but I can pull back or recover. Recovering in place looks like a good idea for him. I don't know what these other guys are going to do. Another option would be just to pull back, So I don't know. I don't know which is better. I'll think about it. It's kind of important what order you choose to do things in here. So like Dalincourt, I'm probably going to want to try to dress ranks with him. But he's holding Rocheguillon's line or flank, and therefore I probably want to do Rocheguillon first. Of course, optimally I would be, I want to bust through here, but that's not going to happen, right? So I want to do these first because, yeah. But I'm probably going to try to dress ranks with both of these. The thing is, these guys don't get to fight no matter what because they're firefight. I'm just working my way down the line basically, and the entire French army is like, yeah, let's fall back. But now I start getting into problems. I tried with Surbeck, I think, to fall back. I'm not sure. No, I tried to throw myself into charge because I thought maybe I can puncture the line here in addition to where I already have. But I didn't. I got March, which doesn't do me a lot of good. I mean, I could spin around for 2, move here, and then be wiggling my ass at the Allied armies, covering my artillery, all kind of bad stuff. Don't want to do that. I mean, it's like I wanted to go to charge or dress ranks. I didn't know which. I'm like, well, let's do the charge first while I've got flanks all covered, except for here. Okay, great. Then I get to the Hebronville and Guards, and they're both in charge orders. Kind of don't want either of them in charge. Hebronville can't do shit, so I'll do the Guards first. But I don't, maybe I want to run over to Salis here, because Salis has this. But that's not particularly pleasant. Fuck. There's just nothing good. Like, there's no good options. Everything's, so frozen and static at this point. But with the Guards, what I was saying is, look, if they stay in charge, I can make my attacks with my flanks secured, which is what I guess I want to do. So let's see what we get there. So let's do the Guards first. There's no bonus anymore because I moved Luxembourg. Oops. And I'm trying to go from charge into dress ranks, which would normally be a big 4. But I have at least 1 unit in a firefight. I think that's what it is, if at least 1 unit is. So I'm penalized by 1 for that. And that means I don't succeed. So now I roll some combats. Guards had a pretty successful little action. I pushed this hex next to Surbeck here into the artillery effective. And that's going to open up, more breach hexes, I guess. Ooh, this opens up as well. I think now I have both hex sides for that. because we did Surbeck and we did Hebronville. Hebronville maintained its charge order. I tried to move it into a move order. That's really, or a march order. That's really hard to do. But because it had nothing it could charge, it is essentially a march order anyway, which I'm just as happy with. The reason I wanted it in march order is I want to get this underneath, you know. But I couldn't do that this turn no matter what, because I moved the unit that is underneath behind it just this turn. So they wouldn't have their full movement point anyway. And I would be able to next turn, as long as I can't fulfill my charge. But we do have another breach over there. I'm going to kind of do that by moving, I think, the breach marker. See, okay, here's the problem. The breach markers there are limited by the countermix. So like I'm thinking, oh, I want to move the breach marker so it's covering both hex sides there. But I'm not sure that's viable because they are limited by countermix. But on the other hand, I'm not sure if that's what it was supposed to be anyway, that it was supposed to cover a hex or a hex side. I kind of don't care. I'm just going to move it the one. Feels to me like, honestly, the countermix limitation feels like a somewhat artificial constraint anyway. So I don't feel too bad about it if I'm cheating with that. The nice thing is it allows me to straighten up my counters a little bit, which were really kind of disturbing me. Caught under the same issue I was before. So Reynaud here wanted to attack this. I got first fire, which was kind of useful, but I rolled shitty. One of the reasons I wanted to do that, I had basically a choice. I could attack this in the flank. Ooh. I was actually better than I was, but I still got a 9, which no matter what is going to be a pretty bad result. At least I wasn't on the negatives, right? But I got an attacker retreat. Well, the reason I wanted to attack this was obviously, look, I'm getting a flank attack, whatever. This only has one secured flank. I have none. And I could attack this, but this would have 2 secured flanks. It would be a full strength unit, so it wasn't a pleasant situation for this Reynaud unit here. So I figured I'd pick on the weaker unit and ended up, I guess, with a +1. Because attacking in the flank is +1. It doesn't make a difference. Even if it was higher plus. But I got the attacker retreat. Now, I am allowed to retreat into this village here. I don't want to, though. What I want to do is retreat here. It's not clear that I'm allowed to conform my facing with the force I'm retreating into. I feel like I should be able to. And I'm just going to say, screw it, I am. Because otherwise I'd be like, actually I wouldn't be pinned in the village because there's a unit on top. It just, I don't even know, because like facing in the village is in 3 different directions, and I don't know if that applies to when you decide to move. You know, like I have the feeling the way villages are described, and here I am, you know, getting into the nitpicky of the system, but the way villages are described for fighting. So here, it's village defense stacking. They defend the vertices as needed for all-around defense, but it doesn't say anything about their ability to move in or out of it. Like, are they notionally in that formation when I want to move them? If not, I guess I could still turn an attack or something, you know, but it's like, whatever. Anyway, that's the Reynaud unit. That's going to get me to Salis. I'll do the last French command, then I'll move to the English March units, which is most of their units. They have a couple in dress. They have 1 in dress ranks. But I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm not playing at all, but I also kind of want to go to sleep so that I can be awake during the day a little bit. Salas is in hell. I chose address ranks because basically they couldn't do anything. If they stayed in charge, this unit would have to attack this village. Not good. But I think the requirements for dressing rank are going to fuck me over. Here's what happens. I had a firefight marker here, one on top of this. There's a casualty marker underneath the bottom unit of that. I wanted to recover the bottom unit. I can't back out through that bottom unit. This can back out or not, I don't care. I don't really mind that it's in a firefight there. Kind of don't mind that these guys are in a firefight. But you know what? This unit, I think, has to leave the village and go here in order to connect my lineup. And in fact, I can't withdraw from this firefight because of these guys. I kind of don't want to give up that hex unless the allies want to attack here. So I'm going to recover my damage here. I wanted to recover damage here, get into a charge or something, but my line wouldn't be in order anymore. My line is still not in order because I had to back up directly instead of, I'm assuming, again, what does facing the village mean? Well, I know with one unit in the village, it actually has facing. What's weird is for defense only, I guess, all the troops swarm around and form, you know, a defensive circle around the force or something. I don't know. You know. Now, I could withdraw here, and that doesn't seem like a bad idea, because that gets me out of that firefight as well. But the biggie was I couldn't recover with this unit here and stay in place. I have to connect my lineup in some form or another. And normally, in most games, moving an individual piece, like, you might have to move other pieces to keep everybody in command or in connection in some way or something. But here, I feel like you're actually required to move the whole brigade kind of at once. You can't make a decision with one unit and then say, oh, but that means these other guys are now out of compliance and they're just fucked because they can't get back in. I think you have to try to get yourself into compliance at the brigade level as opposed to at the per counter level. It's going to put these here, and yeah, I think I'm going to break. Again, I didn't play all that much. I could certainly rush through and play the entire turn. I feel like I have enough energy to do so, but I also really don't want to be on this sleep schedule that I'm on. I ate too many fucking donuts is what it comes down to, and sleeping during the day. Like, although today, wait a minute. So today, I've been up in the last like 26 hours or something. I think I've had like 2 hours of sleep. I know it doesn't seem like it because I feel very awake, but I slept a lot on Saturday, and then, wait, is today Monday? God, today's Monday. Whoa. I slept a lot on Saturday and Sunday, and then played Raid through the night and through most of the day today, because there was something crazy that I tried to do, and I failed at it in terms of like something that required a lot of playtime, and I realized I'm running out of resources. I can't afford to do this, so I kind of took a mercy reward instead of the one I was aiming for, which I wouldn't have even gone for at all. Like, because I had better things I could do with, you know, like saving my resources and stuff like that. But anyway, I also you know, in addition to spending resources in the game, I spent like the last 26 hours more or less playing Raid, and minus a couple hours where I tried to nap, maybe 3 hours total where I tried to nap, but didn't really fall asleep at all. So I should be dead tired, but one of the problems is, on my way home from the bar, as I often do, I found me a bucket of donuts from the dumpster, and I mean, they like half fill the dumpster with donuts, right? And they also leave a bucket that they dump the donuts into the dumpster with. And they leave it open. All the homeless guys know about it. They eat it out of it. But when the bucket's there, I'm like, I can take more donuts. But this time I took way too many. And I've been eating way too many fucking donuts the last couple days. I also found a calzone, which is cool. I like finding more than one. Anyway, let's see if I can sleep. Maybe I'll be back up with the, oh shit, I couldn't. I'm too charged up. In some ways, it's not too dissimilar from like the feeling of being at a con, right? Where you like, I don't know, you get there the first day or whatever, you're all charged up, you're trying to set things up, you're excited and everything. You probably don't play much. I'm thinking here Concept World more than normal cons. Normal cons, you just fucking stay awake the whole time. But then like, I don't know, you over crash one day, you know, after running too hard too many days in a row, and like it's that kind of energy that I'm feeling right now of the, wow, I'm probably tired, but I don't know it. I guess it's Tuesday, right? Better be. And I'm doing better, having given up on whatever it was that I was going for in Raid helped a lot. Got a reasonable amount of sleep. Nothing too much, nothing too little. And feel pretty good. It's daylight, it's pretty out. I should go out and do something. At least I threw my donuts out. At least there's that. One of the things I should do is go shopping. But anyway, it's already, like, I play a little bit of Raid when I wake up because after 8 hours, you've got a full stock of stuff and you got to do stuff with your stuff. And, you know, an hour goes by and now I'm like a couple hours to the shift over point where I have to play. I think. I don't know. I don't really, but it's how I feel. And so I'm like, and I don't even want to go out and do yard work or anything like that. And I do feel the pull to play this, so let's get a little bit more going. After a couple of little insignificant actions for the French, they're moving some cav up here. For the English, they did fill in the line with the Spaniards. That's important. But, you know, I'm trying to catch an idea of what I think these kind of these wings should be more like. So let's take a look at this line, which is particularly weird. So to one side, this one here, which zigs all over the place, right? To one side, I would say, look, the stream should be the boundary. But it sort of doesn't make sense because, yeah, this is village, and the village goes over here. This is not, it's clear, so that becomes almost its own wing, and I can see where there'd be, you know, desires to go one way or the other. You know what I would like to see? Because here's the thing, if the village falls, I don't feel like this area back here is really part of this wing anymore. Here's what I think would work. Keep this line, sort of. Although I really don't know about this, but okay. They need an exit off that end of the map within the wing, or else units wouldn't be able to route and stay in wing or something. I don't know. I can't think of an argument for why they actually need that, because routing units can ignore the wings. But something along the lines of, okay, look, this woods, you don't want to include that in this wing, fine. Although honestly, who cares? It's woods, you probably don't want to move through it. but something along the lines of this area in here would be it can be either wing, right? It's sort of a flexible gray area. And you'd see the same over all of this. Either wing could cover it. And that would have fixed the issue because, I'm not going to cross the river or the stream with one of my units very easily. But it's very likely that this becomes kind of a more flexible boundary. And if we look at some of the others, well, I would make I would actually, I think, make each one of these sort of a 3-hex band in between wings. And maybe I'll just do that, right? Because I feel like the wing divisions are just too strict, but they're largely close, They really are. And they probably cover most situations. I still think it would be the best to just say, look, they're flexible, man. If you want to make one wing smaller than another, especially given that your fixed number of units in each wing, if you want to make one a little less wide than the other, you're the commander on the field. You should have some agency there, right? I know there's a bunch of people who don't like the idea of you wearing any kind of hat in a game, but to some extent, you include the commander on the field, right? You have to. You might include all kind of other stuff, and you should have some capability to say, look, cover this, not send some troops over to LaSalle to cover it, because you're not really devoting them to him. You're just extending your own line just a little bit to meet up and make sure that those linear formations remain in place and are being used effectively. I think I fucked up. Now this isn't screwing up according to the rules or anything. I knew that I was kind of short on artillery. I found my guns, fired them here. This guy here I forgot all about. And I don't think he was covered by anything. And again, he just looks like all the other units, right? It's, like in musket and pike, there's a clear gun showing, right? Here, what is there? There's another one of these boxes with stuff in it. Wouldn't be a problem with minis that are big enough to see. I have a penchant where I kind of laud the value of 6mm minis. I'm not sure my eyes could handle them anymore, to be honest. But the nice thing about them is you can fit them with normal mini terrain, and they're at the right scale for the terrain, or close. Whereas normally what people use with good terrain and minis, the minis are just way too big for the terrain. But anyhow, the bases aren't. It's just the actual minis are just too fucking large. What I got here is 4 things. Sure, it is clearly differentiated, but my eye is not capable of making that differentiation. This could just be practice. It could be a lot of practice with this game, and this might be the issue, is that people who play tested this got very used to this kind of graphics on their playtest kit. And, I don't know. Early on, it probably was shabbier quality, and it improved. That's just the nature. When you're getting an early playtest kit, it's usually pretty crappy quality comparatively. And if anything, it just improved. And they started thinking, okay, I'm not having problems anymore. It must be that the counters are better. But the actuality is you're just more used to assessing what these counters mean and all the information on them and these little Fs and all that. Being able to read that quickly and assimilate it very quickly. This is why blind testing is important. Send groups of people at the end who have never seen the game before a near finished copy, one that you think is ready to publish. Like, this game should have been sent out as a blind test as it was. And what would people have found? Look, you got some of the printing in the wrong, some rules are missing, some are unclear. The counters, man, I can barely see what's going on. Some stuff that became very, very familiar to people who were playing it during playtesting. And so they stopped questioning it as rules, because like with the counters, the rules end up getting rewritten and seeming more clear. And then you start looking at it and saying, yeah, it's not as puzzling anymore. But the problem is, if you've playtested it before, if you've ever seen the game before, you're walking into it now with more knowledge than the buying public is going to, right? And more practice with it, the buying public, and you're no longer in a position to be able to give a really good assessment of, does this work for a new player? And I feel like this game has suffered from that, in addition to errors that are just, outside of any kind of excuses, right? Stuff like the rule book and the counter mix-ups and stuff like that. Those are just outside. There's nothing that can account for them. There's nothing you can do to fix that except have actual quality control at the point where you send things to the shipment, to the printers, I don't, there's nothing else to say there. All right, let's keep playing around with the allies. Well, keep bopping back and forth. I get so busy excusing why I fucked up. But the question is, what do I do about it? I'm just going to leave him there, but maybe I remember him next turn during the artillery phase and I move him or something. I'm not really sure what I want to do. He probably should have fired, but he wasn't going to do shit. So I'm really not that worried that he didn't. Because he's at 1, 2, 3. Well, this wasn't there. So he would have been at 1, 2, 3 hexes. I mean, he might have gotten a hit. It would have no effect. There'd be an artillery hit marker there. Nothing's happening on that flank right now because the armies are trying to get, change their orders and whatnot. An example of where life goes to hell in this system because of the wing divisions. So I have this Van Hayden unit here, over here, all the way across. It's taking up a lot of space. It's in the front line, and I have this Maastricht, I don't know how to pronounce anything, infantry unit here. It is also front line. Because of this wing, it's perfectly fine that I've got one behind the other. How do I feel about that? So-so, to tell you the truth. Like, I feel like this kind of hex grain maneuver on the wing divisions should almost never happen. It should be kind of straight lines at the front itself. And the problem is that it's at the front. Because what's happening here is, I'm dressing ranks with this unit. That's the order it's under. And it's the order I want it to be under because I want to recover damage to these two. Why hasn't it done it already? I'm not sure. I guess they backed up a hex or something. I really don't know because I really doubt that I moved forward with these. But okay. What can I not do? I can't back up my entire formation. I don't really want to, but I can't even if I do, because let's ignore this unit for now. If I wanted to back into these two hexes, which I'm allowed to do, this unit would then become separated. It can't move into here. It can't back up into there, crossing the wing boundary. It's just fucked. It's caught in this little shit land where it's got a wing boundary right behind it, and it can't fall back at all. It is stuck in a cannot retreat position that is there for no good reason, right? And it's again why there has to be some leeway in these wing divisions. There just has to be, because you can't say forever this is the divide that makes sense. It's not always, and in fact I would argue it's never this. Like, I'm not sure what it should be. I have the feeling that this should go through this hex at a kind of a diagonal here. There's other places where they put the line right through a hex. Of course, it's going, you know, straight on the grain there, where it would have to zigzag all over the fucking place. But don't do these zigzags. Cut them. At the very least, make that blurry. So that a situation like this never happens, because this is just very wrong. I don't know. I mean, something like that must have come up in play. There are a couple of places where there are situations like that, where one hex is clearly, like here, it feels like this is going along the hex diagonal, which means everything on this side is in this wing, everything on that side is in that wing. On this, it's weirder, because every other hex row has a blurry hex where it's like in both wings. So yeah, I have a little bit of flexibility, but only every other hex row, right? But that's life there. But this is unconscionable. What's happening there? It's generating unbelievable results, and even within the strictures of this game, just cut that straight across and say this is, you know, one of them blurred hexes. What does that do? It still creates the same problem if I'm in this hex, but it gives a possibility for the Neerwinden wing here, where Maastricht is, to actually occupy that space, where right now they cannot. They are limited to here, in line with the village, and then they expand out a little bit if they want to. Now, yeah. And I think they should have that flexibility to expand out, but the problem is that flexibility cuts into the flexibility of the adjacent wing. It does not have that capability anymore. One of the things that happens when you're playing a new system is, I mean, you can try to puzzle these things out in your head, but sometimes it's hard to do. In this case, the Reeb brigade is moved into charge. I moved up here. That would give me a first fire on this, but this had first fire, so I'm going to actually attack from this first. And that means this guy took a hit. This guy lost his first fire. That'll potentially, you know, give me an advantage where I first fire into this the same way this is going. So this is a strength of 2. This is a strength of 2. This has the printed 2. This has a printed 3 with 2 casualties on it, which means it's -1. Yeah. So they're at even, but this has flank support, so it's actually a +1. So I'm getting bonuses across the board with this. Now, if all combat was simultaneous, I would have to be rolling 2 different combats against that unit kind of at the same time, just as an example, because I'm allowed to do this, right? I am not. I am not allowed to do this. Okay, let's look at my declarations again. I'm not allowed to do this because this unit has to attack that. This unit, I want it to attack this, but it can't, because this all have to line up. So I do not get the effect that I wanted. So I'll choose a different thing to launch the attack. But the thing that I was looking at was there might be a situation where that kind of attack would have been, you know, a sensible one, and I'm actually was getting an advantage by attacking from the center of my line. Of course, I was also getting an advantage because I was hitting it with 2 different units, which is harder to do in this game. So let me reverse that and go back. But it does make it difficult because I know I want to make attacks with all of these. Now I could use markers to indicate that, but it's a small unit. So, but now the choice of which unit is attacking what becomes more difficult. So like this, I could expose my line if I fail. I'm not at any particular advantage here. Here I'm at an advantage, and I could expose his line if I succeed. So I think I actually want to make this attack first because I'm advantaged there. But here's the problem. If I take the hex, I actually lose my advantage on flank there anyway. Huh. Wow, it's all twisted, man. So I don't have an advantage. There's no advantage that I see. All right, I'm going to start over here and hope for the best. So the net effect was a bunch of pinnage along here. Here I got repulsed from the village. Both sides took casualties, causing problems, largely because I moved a line up a little close. This Thiange line was unable to move up to the front, and I've just retreated back to it. That means when they move, they are going to have to do something to rectify this situation and fall back a hex because these guys retreated. And these guys are not in the front. They were unable to commit to the front. So on their actual next movement, they have to do something that, again, feels alien. I can reach back and, try to do some hand-waving stuff to come up with an argument for why they would fall back like that. It's hard, though. It's hard. It almost feels like there are some cases that the game just doesn't cover where, a promotion to the front should just happen. It's got to do with the fact that there's a big gap in the line, right? And I just don't feel like this is quite capturing the nature of things. On the other hand, it's trying a lot harder than the Berg design did. It's trying a whole hell of a lot harder. I don't think you had to keep units, I want to say as consolidated again. It's not the right word, but my brain isn't working as well as it used to. I can use the term from the game. You want to keep the brigades under an integrity where they're like not breaking apart and whatnot, but also you want to maintain a certain integrity within your line formation that matches what's here. But it's like, yeah, but it's a little too rigid. But the prior game was a lot too loose. There was a lighter game on Blenheim that, because of the subject matter, I thought about for a bit, but it looked obviously too light for my tastes. Like, I just really don't want to play something that feels that light. Like, this, I like what it's trying to do. And I'm complaining as much as I am only because I like what it's trying to do. Right? If this was playing a Napoleon at Waterloo type system, I would say very little about it and I would be just dismissive of it. I'm not about this. This feels like it's trying to do something really, really fucking impressive, and the gears just aren't quite lined up right. That's why I don't design games, because I'm unwilling to make the compromises when the gears don't quite line up right. But here I feel like the compromises that were made, if any, don't work. It's hard to tell, what's a compromise, what's this is the grinding that's happening from not making an appropriate compromise. And I feel like it's more the latter, right? But I'm not seeing a way of easily fixing most of what's going on here. Like, I don't know, and the problem is when you explore this kind of space in a new design, and it doesn't quite hit, it makes it unlikely that this space is going to be revisited. Like, I really doubt that more games of this series are going to come out, based on my impression of it, right? Like, I just don't see this as being a game that's viable to most people. Now, again, I'm confused because there are people who come back, who come back on the videos who seem to think that, like, I'm making much ado about nothing. I don't know, man. Now over here with these Hanoverian Cav, and they are Cav, I can tell because they're in separate little groups, right? Like, that's the difference, right? Infantry are these solid banks. Cav are a little bit, you can see the pieces a little bit more. And they're kind of framed in little blocks, as opposed to one big formation. I just have to get used to that. So my first impression was, oh, I'll just do a maneuver. I want to charge because I want to hit this flank, and I want to disrupt the French crossing of the stream that's underway. I'm unable to get into charge, and now the question is, how far do I, what do I want to do with my movement? I got no problem doing this, right? But I want to leave room for a momentum off a charge. So I don't think I want to get into connection with all these units. I also have to be careful because I can't have this overlap. I got to fix that. Remember that Tianj infantry I had to deal with? It had to fall back. I was unable to get into dress ranks, so I had to do it in march. That means instead of a nice linear formation that you would think I would keep up, right? Instead, what I've done is I've had to break my units, about face, move forward, and then turn. I'm in a column facing this way and another column facing that way, essentially, with the enemy across the line here. Now, I'm not worried about the enemy attacking me. It's too hard to get orders and whatnot in this game, and they probably don't want to give up their defensive position. But this is bullshit, right? This is what happened because I had that fallback, the requirement for integrity within the wing, the inability to take the one order that would allow me to do what I needed to do to fix things without disrupting my line completely. So instead, I have this stupid-ass situation that would never happen. A couple more activations. One that I kind of liked. These guys didn't have to do anything exciting. They swung from kind of facing that way with an intention to reinforce in that direction, to turning around and moving to this edge of their sector or whatever in the same kind of position. And something about that reminded me a lot of sort of minis games. Now, I would have had more movement to keep going. The limitation of the sectors, though, made it feel more like that kind of maneuver happening in a minis game, in terms of where changing facing, and I mean, there's a cost to changing facing in this, there's no question, but it feels lighter than it would in most mini systems. It just feels like swinging my direction from this way over to this way cost me more, but it's really only because of these sector lines and the fact that I didn't have a transfer order. If I had a transfer order, I could have continued on, and I could have been heading for this, but I could be out here or something. I think I spent about 4 movement points for that whole about face, which, you call it 5, which means I'd be out about here, which would feel a little too far maybe, I don't know. And then the Filippo Cav is gathering here, and I'm noticing, Jesus, Cav is so ineffective against infantry. Like, they basically can't do shit. These guys should be disrupted. They made an attack to kill a first fire there without being able. So the problem is, I was sitting here. For me to charge, I have to hit the hex in front of me. I can't do any kind of clever maneuvering or anything, right? You don't have that kind of swirling cav capability that you have in musket and pike and a lot of other games. Musket and pike, it really shows up. Instead, you have to maintain this sort of linear discipline. And that means you're not going to outflank very often. And that means Cav isn't going to do shit because it can't attack infantry except what I did there, which is to move forward, force them to fire their first fire and then withdraw. Or to hit them on an open flank or rear, and the attack must be from flank or rear or from the front with at least one open flank. Oh no, I could hit it. I could have hit it. Okay. So I can hit this from the front even though the flank is quite far away. I thought I would have to, you know, move this whole formation around and threaten the whole position. I don't have to. And because this stupid corner that I'm in here, this unit actually could have charged, but it didn't. And actually, I don't think it can. Can it? This is Filippo. I got him too far forward. He can't be there. He can't be there because this is there. This command is there. All right, let's pull everybody back. Because he's in the support line. So he actually can't position himself for an attack. And what that, you know, I was moving forward with the hopes of positioning myself for a charge, but I have not promoted him into the front ranks. I have room to, I haven't done so. Mainly because I'm only allowed to activate one brigade into the front. This is too big a wing to operate very effectively. Part of the reason why I sent the commander-in-chief there. I want to be able to get successes there, and I'm not getting any. Okay, I'm going to break for a little bit. Weird stuff going on outside. There's a truck, not that one, that just showed up and started moving, and I'm assuming, I don't know who's putting fiber in. It says Quantum. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know if it has anything to do with, it also says CenturyLink. CenturyLink's been working here quite a bit. So, I don't know, maybe I'll have another bonus option somehow. But there's a truck that's parked under the light post, a van. And it's like plugged in, which is just weird. I pulled my garbage down with my bucket of donuts inside of it. One of the reasons I came back up, I'm gonna play. Don't worry, I'll get to it. Oh, you can kind of see it if I lean down. And it's been there and it's been plugged into something for like over an hour. But now this shows up. And it's got plugs and stuff sticking out of it, who knows. Is that I wanted to bring up, for whatever reason, through my pipes orders, my tobacco orders, and maybe a cigar order or something, I kind of accidentally checked a box for a promo code or whatever and got free magazines out of it. I hope they're free. And one of them was like a food and wine one, which kind of makes sense. And I think that was the main one that was there. But then, like, I got another, you're getting another free magazine. Pick one of these. And I was just like, no, I don't want. And I tried to let them know that. And they end up sending me L. Which the connection, you know, the connection between like cigars, which is I think what I actually was buying at the time, and food and wine, I can make that one. But you know, the kind of stuff that my past wife used to make fun of as, ooh, you're so manly, you know, with your pipe and your war games, and you're walking around with your toolbox, and it was just, you know, kind of a joke we had. For, I don't know, for some time while I was in Phoenix, and I don't know. every now and then it would crop up again, but it was kind of like this neat thing that happened. But I mean, you know, to me, the pipes, the cigars, are a very manly pursuit, and to get a women's fashion magazine from that felt really kind of weird. But the thing that I wanted to bring up, for the most part, high fashion of any kind, I just like, it's just so overblown, and there's nothing about it that appeals to me. I see, it looks stupid. And what's in this current issue is also overblown. There's no question about that. It goes too far. But it shows hints of stuff that I like, which is sort of a translucent gossamer material is starting to come in. Now, I know it will feel like shit. That stuff never feels as good as it looks like it should, right? It's like always a nylon-y kind of yuck. And it's like, yeah. Not that I would wear it, but, you know. And then with sort of used as sort of draping type styles and whatnot, and intricate long gloves and stuff like that are coming in again. And both of those seem like good trends. Now, obviously, at the high fashion level, they're just garbage. But a lot better than I've been seeing, you know. I watch, you know, late night shows, and some of them show some of the stuff, and sometimes I catch some shit from the news or whatever that shows some fashion, you know, from like the gala balls and stuff like that, and the red carpet stuff. And for the most part, it just doesn't impress me. It's either conservative and, you know, frankly looks fine but is not all that interesting, or over the top and stupid looking. And in this case, the over-the-top and stupid-looking is hinting towards something that, you know, is appealing to me. All right, I'll get back to playing. I'm going to swap batteries first. Maybe we'll get through the turn today. This is what I should be doing, a turn a day, easily. And get to that kind of level of play, I can still put out, you know, the same amount of videos, but maybe each one will be an hour instead of each one being a turn. This annoying position where most of the units are in march order. There are a couple or one French unit in dress ranks that absolutely wants to get its activation, but I have to not pass and do something with, you know, just not pass. With every single unit in march order, get through all that time. Now, the Allies are still doing something, so it doesn't really make too much difference. But it's going to come to a point where the Allies don't want to do anything, and they'll be passing. And the French are going to be trying to get to this and just flipping. Now, obviously, I can just say, look, all of these I don't want to do anything with. Just assume they're all passed or whatever. for the sake of things, I just want to get to that. You can short-circuit stuff a little bit, but as written, it's kind of annoying. Notice something that disturbs me, my own screw-up. This unit was committed, and now they're over here, and it should have cleared out support, which should have moved this up to support, for whatever it's worth. That should have happened already. When I actually moved the units, I noticed, oh look, I'm no longer in support. What happens, and I kind of just passed and said, I don't know, I guess I'll fix it next time it comes to command. But it's, no, when he was committed, he actually transferred to there. Because I leave the unit kind of halfway with the commitment marker in place, it confused me. This should have actually moved up automatically, which opened this up, which would have meant that a transfer, say, with these Spaniards would have been easier. I don't know that I tried to. I don't know that I cared to, because things are pretty tight here now. The question that comes to mind, and I think the answer is I must activate. If I'm in a situation where my brigade is failing some integrity check, that's the case with the Hanover Brigade here, can I just pass with them? Because that, in a way, is what I'd like to do. I don't think I can. And now I'm in a position where I could fall back, maybe even to this hex, recover, and that would be kind of good, but I don't want to give up ground, so I think I'm going to have to do other kinds of things. So I think I'm just going to have to maneuver with them, or do a move order, and that'll be a 1, 2, and then I'll shift direction. I want to dress ranks at some point, but I can't do it yet. I have to fix my integrity issue first. And I wanted to do something with them no matter what, so it's no big deal. But I might have wanted to pass for some reason, because I liked the position I was in with a hole. I don't think I'd be allowed to do that. The rules aren't clear on this stuff. I was about to make a check. Something terrible happened. And I don't know what it is or precisely, because nothing got disturbed that much. So I was about to make a check for these guys. I want to get them into a charge. Now, they cannot really align, but I want to charge to try to break the French here. What the fuck? Is this a Reeb unit? Oh, that can't be there. Ah. That's the thing. So I had this casualty kicking here. The die must have landed right on there. It just flipped out of my hand, you know, while I was shaking. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay. Yeah. I want to make a check for him to see if he can charge to get into there. Because if I can start breaking this flank here, where these guys are fucking around, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're doing some kind of weird parade ground stuff that doesn't even make sense. Like, I mean, probably like band practice or something, because it no longer, it just does not conform to my idea of linear combat to like have to do an about face, march in, and then you don't have enough movement points to do another about face. Nor, if I could dress ranks, I would have just fallen back a hex. I couldn't, and I had to fix the fact that this Reeb unit retreated there. And it just doesn't feel right. But taking advantage of that and kind of the chaos that's over here, I think I can launch an attack. Now, I'm actually going to still be compliant because this is the Maastricht unit. This is a different wing, so I don't have to even care about the fact that I'm behind them, so I don't have to do shit about that. But let's see if I can get a charge going and what I can do. And I can, which is cool. One weird little, wow, this battery died quick. One weird little thing that happened. The British First Guards, I wanted to dress ranks with them, but because they got swapped out here, I guess, or something, I don't know what happened, but they had to basically turn around and march away, leaving a hole in my line, because there's not enough room for more than 2 brigades up here. And with this one having moved up, they must have moved back. I don't know. I don't remember quite what happened, but I didn't have any markers on here this turn, so probably should have been fixed last turn. Anyway, they had to turn around and march out of Neerwinden. And again, that leaves a hole in the line. It's not a big deal because there's firefights pinning both of these units in the town. So I don't think anything can leave those hexes in any easy fashion. But again, it feels kind of weird. And again, I had some fucked up shit, like, you know, a unit that was ahead here. Hey, it's marching off this way now. You know, same thing as here, except less extreme and less devastating in terms of potentials. And I don't know, I'm basically piddling around with units as I go, but again, the Allies still have stuff they need to do. The point where I don't think it matters, I'm just flipping units over because the French refuse to pass because they have this. So I think we're going to come to an agreement and just do asphalt, and that will end things. Honestly, the Allies only have 1 remaining unit left, and they're going to pass with it. So that's fine. So asphalt there. They're in some kind of stupid position, right? They're blocking the Nassau Cav. There's not much I can do about that. I want to get out of dress ranks. I don't particularly want to charge. These guys are not reformed, but the front line is units that are in good order. So I want to get into March, I guess. So from dress ranks to March is a 4. And there's nothing that helps me anywhere there. So I fail, I stay in dress ranks. That's end of turn. All right, and done with the big flip over here. Gotta say there's one thing that, again, a personal issue, which would be resolved if I did this. But when I pick up a unit, when I pick up the order for a unit and flip the unit, there is a desire to flip the order as well. I'm pretty sure that Salas was in dress ranks, but I know that my brain kind of like skipped a beat there and I wasn't absolutely certain. And this is what the battlefield looks like. Attempts by the Cav to do something here, complete failure. The infantry struggling. The French over here, especially this Theonish unit, which is just like doing some kind of complex parade maneuver. Over in this sector, both Renaud and Salas are kind of stuck in Neerwinden, even though the British Guards are pulling away. Over in the plains area, the Guards and the Surbac Elbonville making some gains here. We're going to be getting a breach, an additional breach in this hex as we start to push our way through. But, I mean, we breached here essentially, right? Same kind of thing. I don't know how big a deal it is. Of course, this remains permanent. We don't get rid of the river. But things are kind of just locked in here. Yeah, we made a little bit more ground, but not much. We move up here, Robespierre, Dalencourt, not making any kind of gains here. Kedro, after their fuck up. Nice big gap here. That does not feel like linear combat to me, to leave those kind of openings between things. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there really were distinguishments of, you do not go more than 200 paces from Allenhoven, but then you may go, out to here, but then cut back. That just, wow, I cannot believe, look, that kind of, I could see that kind of discipline being imposed in something like a Vauban siege, where units were really, really regimented as to where they had to be. I cannot see that happening on a battlefield to the extent where commanders were unwilling to try to bring their lines together in a fashion that allowed linear combat to happen the way it's supposed to, and leave huge fucking gaps like this. Simply because they're unwilling to move further to a flank. That just doesn't comport with my understanding of the period, but whatever. And again, here we got a big gap. Why? Because these guys had to fall back because this guy did. And not only did they fall back, but they couldn't just do so in good order or whatever. They had to about face, march back, and then start turning. They can't do another about face. They don't have enough movement points. There's no forced march or anything like that I could get rid of an extra movement for. I'm okay with the Cav being ineffectual against infantry. That seems appropriate in a lot of ways. Then over on this flank, the Cav is just staring each other off and not actually doing shit. A lot of French reserves left. Fair amount of Allied reserves. You don't really need them, especially all this fucking Cav. It's just goddamn useless shit. All right, let's send this one up.